At half of the press. Well, my people, me here for drop the real news, news, reviews, everything in a one right this or right there, my people. So all I want to know to do is like up the video, share out the video, subscribe to my channel, my people. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Let's get right into it.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also.
A blessed good day to you, my wisdom warriors. Wagwan, wagwan. I'm back again with another video. My people, this is one I'm going to make you think twice to box cover. UWI Professor Clinton Hutton has filed a constitutional challenge seeking to overturn several sections of the 19th century Obeah Act. The challenge was filed on his behalf by attorney at law and Pan-Africanist Bert Samuels. So my wisdom warriors, according to Nationwide News, Professor Hutton is claiming the sections violate several fundamental rights in the Jamaican Constitution. Among the rights cited are the right to freedom of privacy, right to freedom of religion, right to freedom of conscience, right to freedom of expression, and the right to seek, receive, and distribute information. The professor has provided sworn evidence alleging that Obeah, as defined by the Act, actually refers to African spirituality retention. In a media release on Sunday, Bert Samuel says the challenge to the Colonial Era Act is long overdue. He says the move to invalidate the law was influenced by the recent sentencing of Oshuan Grant in the Montego Bay St. James Parish Court. Grant was sentenced after police raided his home and discovered signs of what was deemed Obeah rituals. Mighty God. It's understood that upon entering Grant's home, authorities observed a mist of smoke and there was incense burning in each corner of his bedroom. A plain white t-shirt with various denominations of money was also observed discovered. The shirt was reportedly surrounded by burning candles in a ritualistic fashion. Grant is also alleged to have had various boxes on his dresser labeled Money Rain, Money House, and African Powers. He was reportedly wearing 4 silver rings, which he expressed fear of removing. The man reportedly told officers that he was fully guzo. Right in the whole. My wisdom warriors, I do business in a them sitting here business, I do not business my wisdom warriors, but you know say me have to come and make you know what is going on. So on here that the professor has filed a constitutional challenge seeking to overturn several sections of the 19th century Obeah Act. So you know so they have the Obeah Act, my people. So you hear what the professor said. The professor say them violate him rights, basically, and that them a say. You understand? Them a say they violate freedom of speech and one bag of something. So you tell me what you think about that. Me go left this one here to uno and put on an honest opinion in the comment section. Anyway, my wisdom warriors, Lisa Anna, she come out right now because she's not happy how the country is going. I mean, I tell her, say, she is very, very angry. Have we ever seen Lisa Anna angry before? Even when I watch the video, I still can't see the angriness. Okay, but anyway, my people, just listen what you have to say because I tell her, say, it is very interesting.
Really hard truth. You see, while the world continues to profit off Jamaica's creative genius, our local creators are left behind fighting for scraps. Now, right now, as I speak, Jamaica is losing billions. Yes, billions, because we refuse to do what other well-thinking nations are doing by investing in a national creative infrastructure. And I'm going to get more into that. You see, our filmmakers, musicians, artists, content creators, photographers, they have the vision, they have the creativity, but what they don't have is the resources. What they don't have is a policy. What they don't have is a tax incentives. What they don't have is the removal of customs duties to buy their tools of trade. They don't have the sound systems, the high-tech studios, the post-production facilities. No. And so they leave. They go abroad to produce, record, and build careers in industries that should be thriving right here at home, right? And so this is not just a creative issue. This is an economic crisis. And let me be clear, this is not a new conversation from me. I've been saying this for years. I've been writing about it for years in my columns. In my sectoral presentations, we get up on my 2 foot and I say it in public discourse. I've had fights with colleagues over it when I was Minister of Culture. I've been calling for investment, for strategic funding, for world-class infrastructure. Yet time and time again, we failed to act. And so we've had the studies, the feasibility reports over decades, the promises, you fling little money after the content creators. But what we haven't had is a bold vision to make it happen. So let's talk some numbers and just stay with me here. Because I know sometimes when you hear about billions, you think it's a lot of money. It's not. And I want content creators and creatives to understand that you need to start playing with big figures, not some like a dibby pian figure. So last year, the Jamaican government allocated 3.2 billion Jamaican dollars. Quick math, that's about US 24.4 million for arts and culture. It sounds promising, but it's not, because here is what it really looks like. You see, 57% of that budget, that's about 11, round it up to 12 million, it's really 11.6.5, goes to salaries and travel expenses. Only 2.5%, not even 3% of that money, and that's only $510,000 US, is actually invested in the kind of infrastructure that could make Jamaica a global creative powerhouse, to step onto the global stage. So while the world builds billion-dollar studios, Jamaica is barely funding the talent or the stage that could propel us forward economically and in a way that the world stop and say, but hold on a little bit. We did hear about that country, you know, and we have used them for years, but them coming now. You see, the kind of spineless financial thinking is more than frustrating. It's actually dangerous. And let's be clear, this is not a one-way street. Both PNP and GLP governments have looked at a creative industry budget and they have been rudderless and broken. Various ministries of finance. So money has been allocated from that ministry, but not in ways that foster long-term industry growth. What you do is you have these sporadic events just to make people feel nice. You throw some money at content creators and make them feel good. It's straight. The result of it too is you have thousands of young people, thousands of creatives that are brimming with potential, but shackled by underfunding, mismanagement, and political short-sightedness. Because this is one of the global competitive advantages that we have. And time after again, just look at 2022. There was an economic impact study that was done for the Jamaican film, animation, and you would want to say music industries. I think even CGI was thrown in there. And it found that our creative sector already contributes to about 5.2% of GDP and employs about 3% of the workforce because it has ripple effects. It's not just the man behind the camera. It's everybody else that benefits from it. And here's the reality. That number could double. It could even triple within a decade or 15 years if we invest in what actually matters. So let's put things into perspective, because I work in the global creative industry space and I've been in the local industry for 35 years, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. And let's look at a basic sound stage, right? Nothing really fancy, because you have companies and corporations now in the United States that have various sound stages around in the United States. So you could have one studio, but that same company owns several studios in a state, and they can be used. Like, you can go and look and you will understand what I mean. So it takes about $50 million US to build a basic sound stage. That's what it costs. Meanwhile, countries like the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Mexico are pouring millions into creative industry and attracting international productions. And they're reaping the economic benefits. And Jamaica, we're watching the opportunity after opportunity slip away. Quite frankly, if you really know somebody in the industry, you can't even get a work or go up on the set. Because you have also a set of people that have been in it for years and they're not trying to pay it forward to the younger people. Straight. So right now, the world's entertainment industry is worth about 2.8 trillion US dollars. That's a whole heap of money. Hollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood, they're all looking for fresh, visually striking, cost-effective locations to produce content. I had a live about this in 2022. You can scroll back and look at it. Because when Netflix decided to invest in Nollywood, in Lagos, in Nigeria, and even when they built the soundstage to make the Squid Games, I was asking myself, how the hell is Jamaica not at the table? How we not there? And you can look back at some of those things that I was saying about it, because Jamaica has everything the world wants. Breathtaking landscapes, world-class creative talent, and an internationally recognized cultural brand. Reggaeton built from Jamaica. Hip-hop built out of Jamaica. Right? You have stories. When you watch Cool Runnings, when you watch Shutters, people want content coming out of Jamaica. They do. We have some brilliant people down here. We're not talking about TikTok only, or some little not little, but the struggles they have to go through. But what they don't have is the infrastructure. I'm not talking money, brother and sister. I'm not talking just some money. Because $250,000 are no money in Jamaican terms. It is not to produce something. It can't even buy two good camera and a MacBook. May I tell you that straight? What they need are solutions. So here's a solution. We need to build a world-class creative production hub, right? And me not talk a studio alone. Me talk about acres of land. A cutting-edge facility with a high-tech film studios, sound stages for blockbuster productions, state-of-the-art recording studios so that global music artists and our own can go there, music production suites for like CGI, animation, and editing, training centers to equip Jamaican filmmakers and cinematographers and sound engineers with the tools to dominate the industry. CPTC needs to be increased and move out into that area. And this is not a dream. It's a necessity. So here's how we fund it. Since everybody I try go around, come around and ship down. We need not government oversight. What we need is the government to clear the way for the private sector, for those people who want to invest internationally and locally. We need a public-private sector partnership. Because to my mind, I've never seen the government manage a business effectively. Right? They socialize losses and privatize profits. So here's what could probably work. Let's say we want to build that sound stage. Let's say the government puts a 40% stake in it, 24 million, through land, infrastructure, and tax incentives. And I would add to the tax incentives, but I'll get to that. Then you have private sector international investment with another 40%. So you have them putting another 24 million in there, and you could look at Netflix, Warner Brothers, Universal Music, Disney Studios. You could look at some of the younger, brilliant producers coming up who have money. You could look at some of the private equity funds overseas that are investing in music catalogs, etc. And then you have the rest, 20%, raised by stock market funding. So about 12 million through like the Jamaica Stock Exchange, so that everyday Jamaicans can own a stake in their own creative future. And so, I saw some of you in the comments yesterday saying, look, Lisa, you're talking about government oversight. No, I'm not. Because government don't and cannot run businesses effectively. But they can clear the way with tax incentives, land, and the removal of customs duties to grow the private sector investment in the same way it does for tourism and BPO. Because guess what happened? You think anybody are going to bring in proper cameras and editing equipment to sell? You think them can trade it on the black market? It's their tools of trade. And so while, you know what also frustrates me? I see my friends. I see people from overseas who come here with their cameras. It's more frustrating for me to see my friends. Every minute them have to sign some form to take out their equipment or bring it back. What kind of foolishness is that? Also, remove the customs duties off of their tools of trade. Them not selling it. Them can't sell it. They want it to build their business.
So my wisdom warriors wanna hear it from Lisa Anna. So wanna tell me what you think about that. My people, I want to take in Dion Jackson Miller. Hear this.
Number one, for 55 years after independence in 1962, Jamaica only had 3 states of public emergency. 1967, West Kingston, 1976, various parts of Jamaica, and 2010 in Tivoli Gardens. But since 2018, up to the time of the court case, there had been 17. 2. The courts have said consistently high rates of crime in Jamaica over a period of years can't be used as a justification to impose a state of public emergency. Now, the Oxford Dictionary says an emergency is a serious, unexpected, and potentially dangerous situation requiring immediate action. And the court said there's logic and good sense in the assertion that a state of affairs which persists over a period of years cannot properly be described as an emergency. So they said the states of public emergency that had been declared by the Governor General between January 2018 and February 2023 had not been declared for a purpose specified in the Constitution, so they were inconsistent with the Constitution and therefore void. Number 3, the court said its analysis of crime stats from the police showed that the emergency measures did not always achieve the objective of reducing crime. For example, the evidence of Deputy Commissioner of Police Blake is that while there was a 50% reduction in crime for January 2023, there was a 22% increase in murders in February 2023, and that's when there was a state of public emergency in effect in St. Anne. The court also quoted from statistics from St. James and West Kingston and concluded that contrary to DCP Blake's assertion that the states of public emergency reduced murders and shootings, the court says the stats don't bear that out, and the court said this is a clear indication that the measures did not always achieve a reduction in crime. Number 4. The court recognized that the ultimate aim of the government in imposing the states of public emergency was to curb crime, which the court said was and still is out of control. But the problem was how the government tried to achieve that. The court said, look, democratic rights may be restricted if we need to ensure public safety and public order, but whatever the government does has to be reasonable, it has to be demonstrably justified, it can't be arbitrary, unfair, or based on irrational circumstances. And the right should be impaired as little as possible, and the actions should be proportionate. Can't use a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito. Give you an example. A state of public emergency imposed for the entire parish of St. Anne, although the police identified the problem areas as being in northeastern St. Anne. So the court said that parish-wide imposition of a state of public emergency was an unnecessary restriction on freedom of movement, the right to protection from search, the right to freedom of peaceful assembly, the right to liberty, and the right to due process. Number 5, rolling states of public emergency are unconstitutional and breach the constitutional principle of separation of powers. The government had imposed several so-called rolling states of public emergency. They would impose a state of emergency for 14 days, and when it expired, they would wait a few days and then impose another one in the same area. They were doing that because the government can declare a 14-day state of public emergency, but if they want to extend it, they have to go to Parliament and get opposition support. And the opposition had said, we're not supporting any more extensions. And the court said that these rolling states of public emergency was a method of circumventing the constitutional provisions and process. So what's the outcome of all of that? 14 states of public emergency that had been declared between 2018 and 2023 were found to be unconstitutional by the court and were held to be void. In other words, as if they never existed.
Anyway, my people, we're moving on because Senator Delano Sivrite, the state minister in the Ministry of Tourism, has warned that rising global protectionism and trade tensions are beginning to impact Jamaica tourism industry. He noted that escalating geopolitical issues are disrupting supply chains and driving up the costs of key goods and services vital to the tourism sector. My wisdom warriors, this has been going on for a while, and Peter Bunting did a talk about. Peter Bunting did stand up in a House of Parliament and a talk about. You don't remember? You don't remember when Peter Bunting stand up in a House of Parliament and a talk about it? And you have the dirty king, Jamaica Labour Party, them stand up and a go on like they want to shut down the man. Look what happened now. Look what happened now. From construction materials to hospitality technology, cost increases are being felt across the sector. This is the new operating environment we're in, he shared last week. Delano noted that changing global monetary policies, particularly as central banks move from tight to more neutral stances, could also affect consumer spending in key tourism markets, including North America and Europe. But my wisdom warriors, I remember when Peter Bunting came out and Peter Bunting said to them, say, we are heading into recession, you understand? And we need to come up with a new strategy. Remember, say that, Peter Bunting did I tell them, and I said, we have to think ahead. Remember good, my wisdom warriors, but them say I lie Peter Bunting I tell and one bag of something. We not forget. So when you see Delano come out now and I say all these things, we knew these things was going to happen. But when Peter Bunting did I let the public know, no tell the public, say I lie Peter Bunting did I tell? Remember? Remember good. Uno forget? My wisdom warriors, hear this.
The debate about whether the country is in a recession continues despite Wednesday's confirmation by the PIOJ that Jamaica is not in a recession. Hours after the update, opposition Senator Peter Bunting, along with economist and PNP member Dr. Andre Horton, took to social media.
When you study the numbers for the July to September quarter, the economy contracted by negative 3.5%. And for the October to December quarter, the economy contracted by negative 1.8%. That was enough, even though 2 consecutive quarters is indicating that we're in a recession. Those 2 negatives were enough to cancel the 1.9% growth in the beginning of the year and the 0.1% growth in the second quarter.
The PIOJ has indicated that the economy remains relatively strong despite 2 consecutive quarters of decline. The decline has been attributed to adverse weather events, which the PIOJ says negatively affected the performance of electricity, water supplies, agriculture, wholesale and retail trade, and manufacturing of equipment. The opposition argues that those issues point to the government's poor management of the economy.
In the little glancing blow we got from Beryl last year, that shouldn't throw the whole economy into recession the whole year. It is being blamed for it. But what it says is that the economy is very fragile because it was on a declining growth path for about 8 or 10 quarters prior to Beryl.
And despite the positive outlook by Statin and the PIOJ, the opposition is calling for the governments to revise its growth strategies.
I recognize that not enough emphasis was being placed on reducing the cost of energy, on increasing the distribution of water. And fundamentally, they have changed the Ministry of Science, Innovation and Technology to the Ministry of Science and Telecommunications. So they have basically boiled down the respect for technology to just telecommunications.
My wisdom warriors, one thing when me learn, PNP always right. That's one thing me learn. You know, Me like to do a lot of reading and me like to do a lot of research. And it has come to my attention that PNP is better for the country, not the Jamaica Labour Party. To how me see it, the Jamaica Labour Party, they might hide everything from the public. They are not transparent, seriously. And on the other hand, them not take accountability for nothing. We don't need a government like that. We need a government that is straightforward, a government that is trustworthy, a government that is honest, and a government that have integrity. You understand? And Jamaica Labour Party don't have any of those. They not have none, my wisdom warriors. Them lie. That's why everybody have we as a laughing stock. That's why everybody worldwide have we as a laughing stock, because of this stupid government. These dunce bat, them no know nothing. Una never know, my wisdom warrior say una no have to have qualification to be a MP. Una never know. Una can stay there. But me go talk about that another time, because me have all of the evidence and me have all of the proof. Anyway, my people, una tell me what you think about this. Tell me how you feel about it. Put una honest opinion in the comment section. Like up the video, share it out, and subscribe to my channel. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Big up on a nice clean self. One love.
Wanna go on the first promise? On the things that we are putting back in the office. On the things that we are novice. On the better listen to this. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we younger. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them promptly, people just vote them out, cause them not see we when we younger. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, we have to tell them promptly, cause when they win them a go dump way. Market G, you know you the people them really want to see a great leader who will talk to we. Put on the boat and go, they go walk to we. Yes, go march to we. Because we have some guy with them on a intention, leading the country in the wrong direction. That's why we come to make we own a selection. This we are gonna do a wedding call the election. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. So we are tell them promptly, people just vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them